All right, so today I noticed that there were two articles on Washington Post. Two Post articles featuring Bernie Sanders prominently in the articles. So I wanted to address both of these articles and kind of put them all in perspective. You know, Washington Post would be considered a newspaper of note. It has a storied past. Many people refer to it. Me, I'm a native Washingtonian. I live in Maryland now. Grew up and worked in D.C. my entire life. My dad is from D.C. My mom's from New York. We're very fond of the Washington Post in the area just because of where we come from. It's the paper you would get if you really wanted to know what was going on in the world. We used to have it delivered. In fact, when I was a kid, I used to deliver it. So my condemnation for Washington Post's activities are not rooted in any type of bias. In fact, if there's any bias, I'm biased towards the Washington Post. At least I was biased towards the Washington Post in a favorable way. Don't go talking about my post, right? But there are things that the Washington Post has done during the political, as I became more and more politically aware, that I just have to be called out for what they are. Now, there's one of the articles I want to talk about is an opinion piece. And we all know the word about opinions, right? Everybody, they're like butts. Everybody's got one, right? So we're not going to focus too much on it, but we're going to talk about it. And then the other article is a poll. And we know the word about polls. It's all about the sample size. It's all about who was asked, who actually were the people that participated in the poll. So first we go with the opinion piece. Sanders likely can't turn it around, but Biden can. Here's how. All right. It was a horrible opinion piece. Horrible opinion piece. Basically, this person, Jennifer Rubin, bases her assumption that Bernie can't turn it around. I didn't know he had anything he needed to turn around. What does he need to turn around? He's got more volunteers than any other candidate. He's raised a lot of money. He's been polling in the top 3 since this thing began. He's got infrastructure in place all across the country. I didn't know he had anything he needed to turn around. Maybe you need to turn around and make sure your backside is on your back and not in your front, in your mouth, on your face, because you're talking out of said backside. Listen, guys, this whole opinion piece is there to dismantle Bernie Sanders and to prop up Biden. In fact, she gives 4 recommendations of things that Joe Biden should do to get his campaign in order, because he's the one who just dropped 10 points. Joe Biden has been in this race since April, and since May, he's dropped 10 points. But Bernie Sanders is the one who can't get it together. It doesn't even make sense logically. You know? So let me get this right, man. I got 2 friends. Both of them are married. One sleeps on the couch. One, there's no talking. The spouses don't communicate at all. He sleeps on the couch. There's liable to be some furniture moving around because they're arguing and fighting and throwing things. But he's cool because, well, I like him. The other guy, they go out to movies together. They go out dancing. They call each other honey, boo-boo, and baby, whatever. Get pet names. But they're screwed up because, well, he left the toilet seat up. No, that's not how it works. Jennifer Rubin. In fact, Jennifer Rubin gives 4 explanations, 4 suggestions of what Biden should do in order to right the ship. But the title of the article is not about Biden. It's about Biden has a chance, but Bernie doesn't. Then why do you have to give Biden suggestions on how to get his stuff in order? If he's doing so great, if he's the one who's got such a great chance. You would think he wouldn't need any advice. And if you're going to start off with Biden needs to do multiple events, that means totally that you haven't been paying attention. Biden needs to do less events. Whenever Biden talks, that's the problem. Biden has never won a primary. It's amazing. The guy who's never won a primary, who's ran for president twice, dropped out. Would have been 3, but he dropped out because he got caught plagiarizing. That's the guy that you say is a good counter to Donald Trump, the guy who's never won a primary. But the guy who won several, over 20 primaries, he's the guy you say has no chance. So we're just going to move on from her. Jennifer Rubin, I would say playing traffic, but you might do it, and I wouldn't want that on my conscience. Conscience is this thing you have that makes you want to be ethical. Obviously, you don't have one, so I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying. So let's go on to the article that's more balanced, but still it misses the mark when it comes to keeping it real. Now, before we discuss this poll, I'm going to do something that I've never seen them do on MSNBC or CNN or any of these other entities that love to talk about polling. We're going to talk about the sample size. We're going to talk about who was polled so you can get an accurate understanding of just who we're referring to and how this relates to this election. The Washington Post ABC news poll was conducted by telephone from January 28th to July 1st among a random national sample of 1,008 adults. 65% were reached on cell phones and 35% on landlines. Whenever you hear one of these polls and you hear about the landlines, and the higher the landline, the less I think it is demonstrative of what the general public feels. Case in point, it's anecdotal, but it matters. I have a landline. It's in my garage. I don't even know the number. I've had the number for 5 years. It's there just in case all the cell phones go out and the power goes out. I'd have a way to call my mama. That's it. And I'm under 50. So, what does that tell you? There are a lot of people who don't have landlines, and it's not just the millennials don't have landlines. Only the millennials have smartphones. No, not true. So keep that statistic in your head about 35% of these people have landlines. Biden holds lead in Democratic presidential contest as Harris is praised for debate performance, a new Washington Post ABC news poll shows. Biden holds the lead in the Democratic presidential contest as Harris is praised for debate performance, a new Washington Post ABC news poll shows. Okay, so that's the premise. Biden's kicking butt. Harris is praised. Now, we're going to stop there. Just pause there for a second and just think about what they're saying. They're saying that Harris did amazingly. Harris is praised for her performance. Now, let me get this right. Harris is being praised for her performance, guys. Why is she being praised for her performance? What was the performance that made everyone praise Harris? What did she do? She took down Joe Biden. Oh, she really hurt him. Come on. If this was a boxing match, they were very close to throwing in the towel. He needed a cut man in his corner, working on that eye and working on that nose. The ref was looking like, you sure you're okay? Give him that standing 8 count. What's your name? What's your name, Joe? What's your name? Where are you? Because he was rocked. So if Harris did amazingly well, which is what that's the premise that they're asserting in their title, that Harris did amazingly well, why aren't they saying, Poe Biden? Just makes sense. That's who she scored the points on, Biden. All right. Anyway. They're going to point out that, Joe Biden, this race basically, at this moment, this race is about 4 people. Now, in regards to what you hear printed, what you hear said, this race at this moment in time, yes, we got 8 months to go before we go to Iowa. This is so early. It's almost unimaginable. It's almost unreasonable, I should say, to even be trying to form any conclusions. We got so much time to go. But if we had to stop right now, stop everything, let's have the election tomorrow, it would come down to 4 people, and that would be Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Kamala Harris. Okay? Okay. So let's keep that real. Democrats judge Harris as the standout performer among 20 candidates who debated over 2 nights, but she ranks behind Biden and Senator Sanders as a preference for a nominee to challenge President Trump in 2020 general election. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Now, this poll, just so your edification, guys, June 28th to July 1st, okay? So people are fresh in their minds after the debates. Some of these people watched 1 debate, some watched 2, some watched no debates. It's important. So I just want to make sure you know the dates for these. And one of the reasons why I have problems with this is they're painting it as if Joe Biden is doing such a great job. But as you see here, when you look at, this was one of the questions. Regardless of who you may support, which of the Democratic candidates do you think has the best chance to defeat Donald Trump in the general election? This is where Joe Biden performs the best, because people for some reason believe that the vice president of a very popular president within the Democratic Party, President Barack Obama, his VP, they think that he is most likely to be good for beating Donald Trump, okay? But still, we see who number 2 is. We see who number 2 is here. Joe Biden at 45%, Bernie at 18%. Then you go way down, 10 points later, then you get a sign of Kamala Harris and a sign of Elizabeth Warren. Then there's Julian Castro. And remember that guy Pete Buttigieg, where everyone wants to talk about Pete. Look where Pete is on the list. Does this jive with all of the talk you've been hearing about how amazing Pete Buttigieg is? I'm just saying, does it make sense? You know, in the opinion piece that I also covered, she was propping up Pete Buttigieg. But as you can see, based on this sampling, there's nothing to prop up. The guy is not doing well. People don't think he can beat Trump, which is a core requirement of the Democratic Party, people who call themselves Democrats at least. This is another reason why I got a problem with these polls. Look at this question. This was a question on there, and it says, which candidate do you think has the most new ideas? Look who has the most new ideas. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, followed by Kamala Harris. Joe Biden, 18%. Now, there's a reason why I wanted to bring that up. See, one of the most horrific digs on Bernie Sanders, one of the most disingenuous, backstabbing, unrealistic, obviously biased, meant to prop up the establishment candidate disses to Bernie Sanders is that he don't have new ideas. But if you read this poll, read the poll, the questions to the poll, yeah, you'll see that he does have that. You may not think it, pundit, commentary, contrarian for MSNBC or CNN. You may not think that Bernie has new ideas, but America thinks you're wrong. They don't agree with you. In fact, they think Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris have more new ideas than Joe Biden, which should not be surprising. Joe Biden is very, I would say, conservative. Isn't that his appeal? To get the people that really should be, Republicans, but they don't make enough, or they should be Republicans, but they're pro-choice. They would be Republicans if they weren't pro-choice, or something like that. Like, isn't that the people that Joe gets? The people who want someone to fight for unions, but we actually don't have that going on in the Democratic Party. So one of the digs that they have is they say that Bernie Sanders doesn't have new ideas. He does have new ideas. In fact, him and we see that Elizabeth Warren, part of the new ideas is that now all of a sudden she has all these new ideas that she didn't have until she started running, which, folks, is always suspect. if you don't do anything nice for your wife, or you don't do anything nice for your husband, or you don't do anything nice for your partner until you're in the doghouse, maybe you're only doing it because you're in the doghouse. And in this case, Elizabeth Warren got a lot of great ideas, but maybe she only has them now because she's running for president. Why were the ideas all this time? Let's go to the issues that people care about. I think this is very important. It also makes my point more salient. Questions. Thinking about the general election in 2020, for each time or each item I name, please tell me how important it will be in your vote for president, one of the single most important issues, very important, somewhat important, or less important than that. Look at the numbers and see what is ranked the highest in importance for Democratic voters and Democratic-leaning voters. Let me help you out. It's health care. Health care. Followed closely by issues of special concern for women, or gun violence, issues for special concern for women, and immigration. Then climate change, right? Now, that's what they said. That's what the people. If you believe the poll is accurate, this is what they came up with. Okay. Now this is where I have such a problem. Now you understand why I'm so upset with the opinion piece. They said Bernie Sanders doesn't have good ideas. Then they say Bernie Sanders doesn't have a chance. He can't turn it around. If the main focus of your campaign since 2015 has been health care, and if health care is still the number one issue for Democrats, how could you not have a chance? I'm just saying, it's his number one issue. Medicare for All is his number one issue. In fact, about 14 minutes, or no, maybe more than that, maybe about 22 minutes, I think, I'm guessing. A large amount of time on that debate stage on the second night in Miami, Florida, was spent discussing Bernie Sanders' idea about health care. In fact, they were debating his idea. They're not debating Trump's idea. They're debating a person who's on the stage's idea. Then you want to tell me he's almost irrelevant? Now, I don't know about you, but if a bunch of people are sitting around in a room, 10 people, 12, 13 people if you count moderators, talking about my idea, and the whole world's watching them talk about my cornerstone of my campaign, or cornerstone of my platform, and they're discussing its relevancy to the whole world with almost, 20 million people watching? Yeah, I think you got to call me the head runner or the front runner. Either that or, man, I'm taking up a lot of space in your mind. You need to charge me rent. Don't I have to the fifth to pay? Grace period and all. If you come from the hood like I do, you need that fifth. You need that fifth, so you can rearrange some stuff, make sure you can get it in by the fifth. I might not have it on the first, but don't I have to the fifth? Don't you say the fifth, man. It was a Sunday. Monday, right? The 6th. How you gonna know? So, once again, guys, seriously, real talk. Bernie Sanders he owns the floor on the most important issue that matters to Democrats. It's the cornerstone of his campaign. It's what he's hung his hat on. And not to address that, not to mention that, is a travesty. The poll essentially says that Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden are the people to beat. And I think that's just the way it is. And once again, this could all change. If we learn nothing else from the debates, we learned that a great performance can do a lot for you. Kamala Harris went from 7 to 17 points in some polls. Elizabeth Warren has risen. She's in contention. She's definitely a first-tier candidate. Anything could happen. I'm not suggesting this thing is over or any of that. But what I'm saying is, one of the issues that Bernie Sanders has is not like his detractors say. It's not he's too stern or he talks too loud or He doesn't smile enough. One of the biggest issues, one of the biggest obstacles that Bernie Sanders has and had in 2016 and continues to have in 2019 is media bias. Remember when we started this, I said, guys, it's good to frame it, it's good to set it up, it's good to give you a little context for what the polls mean. Well, I made one mistake. I should have gave you context for what the Washington Post means. In 2016, the Washington Post ran 16 negative stories on Bernie Sanders in 16 hours. 16 negative stories on Bernie Sanders in 16 hours. That was not a mistake. That was not a coincidence or a coinky-dink. Things happen. No. That was strategic. That was, they like to use the term putting their finger on the scale. That was backing up your Range Rover and sitting it on the scale. That's what that was. That's a lot of weight on the scale. 16 stories in 16 hours. That sounds like a directive from up above. That sounds like a plan. Doesn't it? Putting it in context, it's almost wild. Like, I'm surprised that Washington Post did a decent article on Bernie at this point. I mean, we know what they're capable of. It's almost like, wow, why are they being so nice now? When all these conversations about Bernie Sanders and if he has an opportunity, does he have an opportunity to win, does he not? They talk about the performance of Kamala Harris. There is one thing, guys, that for me shows me everything I need to know about the bias in our media towards anyone but Bernie Sanders. And it's not trolls. No. It's not those Hollywood types who, for some reason, are still chasing the ghost of Hillary Clinton's possible presidency. It's not that. Not that at all. Watching the sands flow through the hourglass. No, not that. To me, what really, really, truly seals it for me is what they're not talking about. See, but you have to have the context to understand what they're not talking about. If they haven't brought up the closer of the debate, Bernie Sanders had the most epic closing argument of any debate I've ever seen. It was so strong. It was resounding. It was inspirational, but it was doomful. It was everything. It was real. It was touching. It was honest, sincere. It was gutsy. It was Bernie Sanders. They talk about Kamala going after Joe Biden, but they're not talking about Bernie Sanders. And his closing argument, I think, was phenomenal. Now, I want you to watch that. I don't know if they're going to block this transmission, but I have it. I want to play it for you in case you didn't see it. And I just leave you with this before I play it. There's reasons why Bernie Sanders gets the shade, or as I put in the title of this video, he gets burned. Bernie Sanders gets burned because of closing arguments like this. His willingness to call out the powerful. His willingness to call out these industries that betray the American people, that sell us up the river. And those that prop them up. Those that support these industries over working people, over us, all of us working folks. It's the reason why I support Bernie Sanders. It's the reason why I think he's the best choice for this country. It's the reason why I endorse Bernie Sanders right now. This is my endorsement of Bernie Sanders. I think now it's time to do it. And I unequivocally believe, based on the field that I see, Bernie Sanders is the best option for this country. Because Bernie Sanders is the only candidate willing to give a closing argument like this.
I suspect people all over the country who are watching this debate are saying, these are good people, they have great ideas. But how come nothing really changes? How come for the last 45 years wages have been stagnant for the middle class? How come we have the highest rate of childhood poverty? How come 45 million people still have student debt? How come 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of America? And here is the answer. Nothing will change unless we have the guts to take on Wall Street, the insurance industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the military-industrial complex, and the fossil fuel industry. If we don't have the guts to take them on, we'll continue to have plans, we'll continue to have talk, and the rich will get richer, and everybody else will be struggling.
That to me is everything, guys. This show has been brought to you by justinformed.com. Go to justinformed.com, become a member. Also, become a member of my wolf pack. That's my wolf behind me. Guys, that wolf has my back, and I've got that wolf pack's back. So join it, become a member with only $5 a month. You get access to content that I won't put out there to the rest of the world. Become a part of a community that fights for what matters. No matter who we got to call out, that's what we do. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great Wednesday. I love you. And don't forget, don't you let nobody take your cornbread. Peace.